how did it really impact your life and your spiritual walk with God? How did this incident?
To be honest with you, it really didn't. Not at first. I mean, talk about how stubborn and egotistical I could be. I just thought, hey, you know, God protected me during my crazy years. He's protecting me now. He's always there for me. I don't really have to change my behavior. I'm still that hard-driven, kind of egotistical, proud, controlling individual that's really going to drive and achieve my own standards. And God said, no. So I didn't learn my lesson enough. You think I would have. So 5 weeks afterwards, you know, I think God teaches us through pain as much as blessings. In fact, even more so through pain. I think we can hear God more clearly. And driving home from work, 5 weeks after the accident, I was rear-ended at a stoplight by a youth pastor.
This is 5 weeks after this
5 weeks after my
after
accident.
the fall.
I hadn't fully recovered yet from the class 3 concussion, and I got a secondary concussion on top of it. So I don't know if you know, but a concussion on top of a concussion creates some very traumatic brain injury symptoms. And you know, the devil got two birds with one stone that day because he was a youth pastor that was going to sell his car to help fund his missionary work. So, you know,
That's the one who rear-ended you?
Yes.
Okay.
So I went from praising God to why me, God? And I was very angry. And for 3 or 4 weeks, when my life spiraled and my physical, you know, I went from bench pressing the world to couldn't hold more than 5 pounds of weight. I mean, it was just, you know, I couldn't even look up. I couldn't look down. It was just, my life had just collapsed. People had it worse, but for me, I couldn't really function. And I finally just gave it up to God and said, I accept it. I accept my lot in life. This is the way I'm going to face life the rest of my life. Okay, but it took me many, many weeks of pain and anger and frustration to get there. And that was the start of the healing process. See, the miracle was what saved my life. God saved my life. I didn't deserve it. I still believe I don't deserve it. But what I learned after I finally accepted the pain and where I was at, that's what taught me how to live my life and how we should all live our lives.
Okay, now, what is the seed of the anger that you experienced?
It was all driven because I had taken my life and defined my life by how other people viewed me, by what society said I should aspire to be, right? By what the television commercials I watched I said I should buy, right? The things that, you know, it was the movies remember, for a decade and a half, I had the world essentially define who I was. And I built that up into me in terms of my physical strength and my abilities. I lifted weights obsessively. I was just you know, very big into athletics and how people viewed me, how could I achieve in work and what I was doing. And when all of a sudden, God kept all the stuff for me. He didn't change a thing, but he took away the one thing that I valued. And I see now for a dramatic purpose for that, because he taught me when that was gone, when I had that thing that I cling to in this world was gone, I was scared. I had nothing. I had nothing to do. I had nothing to base my life on. And then I just spiraled into anger and fear because, you know, my life was gone. I mean, some people, they're, you know, it could be their children, or it could be their job, or it could be the car they drive, or it could be, you know, a variety of things. But for me, God took exactly what I held valuable in the world, and it was ripped away.
Look at that. Well, you know what? Your testimony is dynamic. This book, Over the Edge into Truth, God have used that experience, and you've penned it and have done an excellent job. You, along with Todd Hillard, one of the mentors you mentioned earlier, has done an awesome job. You can go to our website here right at www.tct.tv. You can go to our website and access his website. I saw it this morning, and it's attached. And from our website, go to his and see this wonderful book. And then you even mentioned the fact that you're doing this for free, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, because, you know, as I went through the experience and I got out of that pain, I actually learned so much in the process, so much of overcoming and what God wants us to be. Instead of having God try and fit my definition of him, I learned of defining my life to him. And this book is essentially what I've learned all along the way, not 10 steps to healthy living, but learn from my mistakes. And because of that, I'm giving the book away absolutely for free to anybody who'll go to my website at pondergod.com. That's just one word, pondergod.com. Just download it.
Look at that. That is awesome. Well, you know something, talk a little bit about, you know, you're into the technical things about, we talked about Xbox and how God has just blessed you in your corporation, the things that you do. Talk a little bit about how the media is impacting our children today, the incredible things.
Sure. You know, I was this morning, I couldn't get out of my head the U2 song, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. That was a song that really just kind of hit me when I was growing up, and I realized it's our society. You know, we watch 28 hours of TV a week on average, right? 28 hours, that's 4 hours of TV a day,
Yes.
right? We work as hard as we can to get the biggest house that we can, right? We as a nation have huge household debt. Each person has, credit card debt. What are we trying to do? What dream are we chasing? Is this really going to satisfy our soul or give us peace? Have we really found what we're looking for in all of this? And the answer that I would say clearly is no. It's not biblical. It's not what God wants us to be.
Yes.
But it's what our Western consumerism society, the society that I took, hook, line, and sinker,
Yes.
has followed and helped define who I was. There is no lasting peace in that. And what I learned through this whole thing is that the only peace that we can have is having peace in God and God alone. Because if we put our faith in something that's in the world, whether it's our looks or our job or our finances or our bank account, whatever it may be, it can be ripped away in a second. And unfortunately, these difficult times are now economic times. Those things are being ripped away right now as we speak. But yet it's fleeting. All of it is fleeting. The only thing that is really lasting is God. And I realized when I kept trying to control my life, I never had peace. I don't have instantaneous amounts of peace when I was going 150 miles an hour racing my motorcycle, because either I was focused or I'd die, right? But yet, when I break away, it was never lasting. But when I gave up control, complete and absolute control to God, and said, God, you're in control of my life, then I had peace. And so so when I say the media, I feel that media is used for both good and bad, but I feel that we have allowed ourselves essentially to be morphed and changed in a society that is not really what God intended. And I think that we all just need to wake up and kind of read the Bible and understand where we really should be.
That's good.
You've said a whole lot in that. I think that a lot of people are affected by that very same thing. Our society really does shape the minds a lot of our children, and then you do grow up and find that there's an emptiness. So that's why I really appreciate this. You mentioned in this book too, the lie, and that ties in with what you're saying as well.
Absolutely.
You want to speak to that just a little bit?
Absolutely. I called it the lie because I feel that it's almost stated as truth, right? Buy this car, you'll be the envy of others, right? Own this house, live in the American dream, and everything is your past. Well, you know what? I was blessed enough to be able to have that, to buy that house. And what I realized was just a gigantic mortgage payment, and it made me stressed. It wasn't the joy of living in a great house. It was just stress, because now I had to work harder to afford the lifestyle I had done. Right. Luxuries have become necessities. And that's what I mean by it's a lie. All of it's this world, this society that we value and how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive ourselves, how we relate to others, is not, again, I'll go back again, is not how God intended us to live. That's right. We are all equal under God's eyes. Envy does not exist. I thought about last night as well. Pride. Pride is such an interesting word, because pride means that you care what other people think about you. And do you think you're actually better than God? So, God is in heaven, we are on earth. Let us not forget that. And why do we chase what other people care about us? Because quite frankly, they don't.
That's true.
So pride shouldn't really exist.
Well, Paul, this is really beautiful, and thank God we don't have to fall over the edge of a cliff to hear the truth. And as he indicated, now listen, all of our guests are at our website for the week, tct.tv. You can go to our website, click on the picture of our guest today, and it'll take you right to the information that you need on how you can make this book your very own. It's such a blessing, and we've certainly enjoyed your being here. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thanks for letting the Lord use you tremendously. I'm sure many are going to benefit. It's been a blessing already, and your testimony is a blessing. And